Okay, so I'm joined here by Oisin Langan after an incredible game in Clonus there. Donegal have won the Ulster Championship. It's a bit of a repeat of last year, really no penalties. Oisin, what a game of football.
Thoroughly enjoyable. It had absolutely everything. It was just utter chaos, utter madness, but the skill and the quality that was on show was unreal, and these two are very much in the conversation for the All-Ireland. Obviously Armagh are the defending champions, and Donegal will feel maybe they have a point to prove after last year. And it was mad with the celebrations from Donegal, both the players and the fans. They were joyous, but they weren't mad, because their eye, I think, is on something bigger. But look, they wanted to win today, both of them did, but a thoroughly enjoyable game of football. And from the Armagh point of view, I suppose anytime they've lost a big game in the last couple of years, more so than any other team, they've had to answer questions about their mentality. The fact that they went on and won the All-Ireland last year, having lost this game, the Ulster Final, the way they did, proves that there's no question about their mentality or anything like that. I mean, they'll be fine in that regard, but they'll be kicking themselves because they desperately wanted the Ulster title. They really wanted the Ulster title, but look, ultimately they're still in it for the big one, and so are Donegal, and that's what they both want. But what a day, just a great atmosphere. I was over actually on the far side, and there wasn't room to swing a cat, there wasn't room for a cat's hair, and it was great banter, great crack. Normally, you know yourself, you're in the press box for these things, but for me, I worked for the first game and I was able to just watch the second game and enjoy it, and it didn't let anyone down. It was fantastic, really enjoyable, loved it.
An incredible game, Oisin. I think I was saying to Pork Lodge from RT there that, you know, Donegal probably did let Armagh back into it at numerous stages and probably gave Armagh a lot of lifelines, and maybe Donegal, that's something probably we'll have to work on down the line, but It was just so exciting and you really couldn't call it throughout.
You know, I had a chat with Brendan Devaney about a number of topics, because this game gave you a number of things to talk about. Donegal not hanging onto the ball in the last couple of seconds or maybe the last minute of normal time is something that you would say is most un-Donegal-esque, but you're up against a team who are just as good as you, just as physical as you, and just as capable of throwing in a tackle, and very hard to keep the ball for that long in a game of football. So I don't think I'd blame them for that. They might look at it and say, okay, could we have hung on to it a bit better? Yeah, they probably could. Armagh kind of let them away a little bit, and the goals look ultimately were the difference. And you'd look, and now I haven't seen them back obviously, you'd look and say they were probably both preventable, but with Armagh, like, there was, I don't know how Armagh didn't get a goal in the first half. I think Yuri Geller was at the goalpost again. Younger people might have to Google Yuri Geller. He rubbed the crystals against the goalpost in Wembley in Euro 96. He thought he was doing England a favour. If anything, he did them wrong, which is no bad thing. But
just get that rub in.
I think Yuri was at the goalpost again. But look, it's one of those ones where from the Armagh point of view, you'd say, yeah, they're disappointed they can bounce back from it. But Connaughty again, by the way, showed us what a special talent he is. It was just enjoyable to watch him kick clutch scores. Soupy Campbell came in and did what Soupy Campbell does. And here's the thing with Armagh, you could argue that they still haven't got their best team out there, because one Rian O'Neill was amongst the panel today, wasn't in the panel but was amongst the panel.
That's a massive talking point, Oisin, and I think I was reading the tweets before the game. Rian O'Neill's actually involved today, and I heard during the week that he was back, and he has been doing bits and bobs for himself, and he will feature for Armagh at some point this year, and that's something Kieran McGeeney will be delighted about.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because you have one of the best forwards in the country coming back. That's only a boost, and it's kind of mirrors maybe what's going on in Galway with Shane Walsh and Damien Comer missing out on the Connacht final. Look, it's very easy for me to say it's sitting in the cam of the stand afterwards, but you do wonder, could they maybe work on the 2-pointers a bit more, or, you know, but like then again, we're going back to it again, aren't we? Those two goal chances, like 99 times out of 100, those chances go in, and there was one or two more as well. So, like, I mean, here's me saying, oh, here's what they could work on when they've lost an Ulster Final by 1 point. You know, the margins are unbelievably tight. So I don't think there's anything too much wrong with either team, obviously. Yeah. Certainly not Armagh.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the spread of scores for Donegal was absolutely incredible. So many lads chipping in today. And Oisin Gallen, quiet in the semi-final, Oisin, but my God, he really stepped up today.
And I'm delighted for him, because he's had an awful lot of injury over the years, and we know what a talent he is, and he showed it today. And he was able to take on shots, and he was brave in some of the shots he took on. It was like Connaughty on the other side. And you can see the work, I think, that he's doing maybe with Michael Murphy, or just the fact that he's training with someone like Michael Murphy, and obviously have an excellent management team, but also he's injury free as well, which is such a huge deal. So I'm delighted, and I don't know him at all, but I'm delighted for him on a personal level, because injury just seemed to hitting him at the wrong time. But today it was Gallen time, and he kicked some really, really good scores.
Talking about Oisin's and talking about your good self, it seemed to be Oisin's day today. Oisin Connolly and Oisin O'Neill, both for Armagh. Absolutely terrific, Oisin.
Oh yeah, well, Oisin Connolly, I think I'm possibly the only person to have commented on Oisin Connolly for both Portadown and Donegal. Armagh. It's not much of a claim, but I'm going to hang on to it. But young player of the year last year, and has kicked on ever since. Like, Oisin Connolly has done man marking jobs for Armagh. Like, that's how good he is. And today he was freed up a little bit and got some big scores, no more than the clutch score to bring it to full time. And as soon as he got his hands on the ball, and I know you'd say it's a low percentage, as in low percent shot chances that he'd miss it, but he still had to do it. He still had to kick it over, and he did. And I just love that he wants the ball. He gets into good positions. He's always looking to shoot. He is not a player who looks to voice the responsibility. He takes it on, and that's a really good sign of a player. And for a guy like that to do what he's doing so young is a great sign. And here's the thing about Armagh, like, you could even say that they've grown from last year, because you've Ethan Rafferty back, and he was immense on winning the opposition kick-out. I know for both teams the kick-outs were hit and miss at best. You've Ethan Rafferty back, you've Callum O'Neill growing into it, Dara McMullen. Obviously, look, you've lost Rian O'Neill at the start of the year, but he's coming back in. Oisin O'Neill getting better all the time, because he's another man who's been afflicted with injury. So you'd look at Armagh and you'd say they're nearly stronger than they are last year. Yeah,
you can't rule them out for an All-Ireland.
No, you certainly can't. You can't rule either of these two out for an All-Ireland. So I'm a big man for recency bias. I'm looking out there and thinking, that could be the All-Ireland final again. But like, you look at what Kerry have done, and Dublin could bounce back, Galway, but like I've learned not to judge on the last game. So it's when you get into the All-Ireland series, and people maybe forget that great as the scenes were today, great as today was, the big stuff is still to come. Yeah. I mean, I know Armagh desperately wants an Ulster title, but if you were to offer an Armagh fan a couple of wins in the All-Ireland series, but they lose today, they might take it. Now, fans aren't rational, that's why we love sport, but like, the big stuff is still to come. It's just that with Donegal and Armagh, they've probably been more tested than, we'll say, Galway, even though it was tight against Mayo. And obviously Kerry got tested against Cork, but like we've seen in the past, they've been tested against Cork, and then they've cruised through again. So we know a little more, I think, about where Donegal and Armagh are at. We know a little less about Kerry and Galway, and maybe you could argue Tyrone as well, and one or two others. But we're going to find out over the next couple of weeks, and it's great.
I know, Sheen, a quick word on Michael Murphy. My God, the leadership he showed today, chipping in with 3 points, and his legs ran out, unfortunately, at the end. But look, he's not a younger man anymore, and he had an incredible game today. He
was immense, and he broke ball, and every time he dropped into the pocket, you were thinking, oh, here comes a shot. Now, it didn't always happen, because it couldn't always happen, but he took his scores well, and he seems to have about 4 sets of eyes, because he knows what's going on. He must have wing mirrors. Like, this guy is incredible, and you can see the effect that he, like, when he lifted the trophy, like Paddy McBrearty lifted it, but when it came to Murph's turn, Murph, like, we're best friends, sorry. when it came to his turn, there was a huge cheer from the Donegal people, and I think, look, there's a couple of reasons why Jim McGuinness would have brought him in. A lot of them are very obvious, but I think one of them is because of the effect he has on the players around him, but also the Donegal people, and that cannot be understated. Now, primarily he's in because of what he can do on the pitch. We saw that again. That's fairly obvious. But there are some players that just bring something more than what they do on the field or what they can do with a football, and he's one of those players. And look, I've been lucky enough that I've worked with Michael quite a lot over the years. I've got to know him, and he's just such a top quality fella. I'm not surprised that his enthusiasm flows off him, but he's also just an unbelievable competitor as well. A lovely fella. But if his granny was between the ball in here, I'd feel sorry for his granny. That's a great way to finish. Oisin Langan, thanks a million. What a game we've had. Thanks a million for joining the JMAC podcast. Very good. There we go. And still has the Waterford hat. Got to represent. Brilliant stuff. Oisin, thank you very much. My pleasure. A day for Oisin's.